Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to another Q&A at Encounters and the second last day of the festival. My name is Dylan Valley, and I'm really excited to be talking to the director of All In, Volkan Üce. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Volkan. I know I practiced it before the time, so I'm getting there, I guess. And I would say All In has to be one of my favorite documentaries that I've seen in a really, really long time. And I won't say too much about it. I'd like to leave it to Volkan to talk more about the film. I thought it was really rich in terms of characters, themes around, looking at capitalism, existential questions around the self, your purpose, and kind of what, finding meaning in life, and also a coming of age story. And as we were chatting just before, Volkan, I was telling you, I feel like this film is a really great example of just choosing really strong characters for a documentary and how to choose really strong characters. So my first question to you would be, how did you find these two main characters in the film? And what was the process of getting them to agree to being participants in the film?
So normally you first find your interesting characters and then you start to shoot them. But in my case, I couldn't work that way because I knew it would be difficult to find a hotel, an all-inclusive resort that would give me full access. So I first had to find this hotel where I could film everything I wanted. For me, it was important to also film in the kitchen, inside the lodging house where those people sleep. So that was my first concern. And from the moment I found my hotel, I just went to the resort. On the first day it was opening, and I knew they would hire 350 people, and I knew more than half of them would be newcomers, like cheap labor who leaves their village and who are pretty young. So I was just like there, ready and filming everybody who arrived and who was okay to be filmed. And that was actually pretty exciting and period for me. I was pretty nervous actually because I didn't know, I was not 100% sure that I would find my two good characters. I was actually even discussing it with my crew and with my producer, like, okay, what if they're arriving like some guys, but I don't have a connection? What do I do? Then I would have to postpone the shooting with 1 year and come back next season. So I was really nervous, and I was like, the first weeks I was there, and every time someone arrived, the human resources manager, Alpert, you could also see him in the film, he called me, he sent me a WhatsApp, and he said like, okay, there are guys in front of the hotel, newcomers. And then I went to them, and we did that for 2 weeks. And out of all these job applications I filmed, I liked Hakan and Ismail from the start, and I knew they would be my main characters.
I really love the way also Hakan and Ismail are kind of like, they're almost like two sides of the same coin, right? So like, I found that Hakan was very critical of the hotel and working there. And Ismail was the opposite. He was really loving being there. He only saw the good things in the Western tourists and the job that he was doing. And he could see a future ahead for him there. But with Hakan, he also had ambition to kind of use it as a stepping stone to something else. But he was very like critical. So was that a choice you made early on in terms of thinking around, I want to have these two opposing forces who are actually very close as well in the film?
Yeah, so the thing is, it was my guess actually. I wanted two different characters who would evolve in a different way. It would be really enriching for the documentary if they would evolve in a different way. But I knew they would both I was hoping that they would both like change lose their innocence, but then in a different way, because I believe they both lose their innocence, but in a totally different way. So that was actually my biggest hope. And when I started to get to know both of them, the more time I spent with Hakka and Ismail, the better I could imagine they would change in a different way. But what's really nice and unexpected for me as a filmmaker is the friendship of these two boys. I didn't plan this, or I didn't know that they would become such friends. Actually, I was hoping it. I was hoping that they would talk to each other, but it just happened, and that's really also a very nice coincidence for me as a maker. Actually,
Yeah, I really loved the scene with them fishing at the end. And you could tell it was like a sincere, tender moment between the two of them. And the one thing I wanted to ask you about was, Hakan, he says, in the film, he says he's working on a film himself, like he'd really like to make his own film. And I had a question around, how did he respond to watching this film? Did he feel like there was some kind of a catharsis for him in terms of, in a sense, being a participant in this film? And sometimes I felt the film that he was wanting to make was partially like in front of us on screen, right? In terms of like his 5 levels of human kind of development.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing with Hakan is he's a really smart man, and he wants to study philosophy, but he's very introverted, and I can recognize myself in Hakan really well. And for me, making films is a way to be social and to be with people, and you feel better when you're with people. And I don't want to like tell Hakan or push him in a different in a certain direction, but I did tell him it would be really good if he would really hold on to his idea to make a film, or maybe in Turkey, maybe somewhere else. And the process while we were filming, he was interested in how we did some things, and why we were shooting some scenes. So he was really interested in that. That was like he was looking forward to see us and to be with us. But the thing is, he didn't he didn't like to look at himself. I remember a certain shot my DOP made. He was really proud of the shot he made of Hakan. And I was like, Hakan, come, look, take a look. And Hakan was like, no, I know I have a radio face. I don't want to see myself. So he didn't like to see himself, but he liked the process of this film being made. But at the end, when the thing is, I make this film, and I want people who I show, I want them to be happy with the results. So when I was at the end of the editing, I flew to Turkey and I showed the film to Hakan, Ismail, Alpert, and the brother of Ismail. And then Hakan watched the film twice, and he was pretty happy with the result, actually. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I really felt, because in the movie, I really felt when I was watching it, I was like, I really hope Hakan gets to make his film. But then at the same time, I was like, well, he did, in a way, he did get to make a film. Like he got to be in a film, and this will, go on to festivals, and he'll be able to live out some of that reality or that dream, through this film. And the thing we spoke about earlier, just before this call, we had like a pre-call, I was telling you about, I really love the way in which Hakan also in his exit interview, he says stuff like, when the manager, I forget the manager's name in the film, but yes, so this is actually my favorite scene where he says, okay, Hakan, so we're going to see you next year.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
It's like, this place is like made me superficial. It's like, it's changed who I am. I don't like the virtue. I've lost some of my virtues as a person. And I really like the way he described how his job turned him into automaton. And I was telling you, it reminded me of Fanon talking about how, the educated person who's colonized is able to understand his oppression. And it reminded me of that. And then you were talking about, it was not, it was Jung, right? So you said
Yeah,
that there
yeah.
was kind of like, do you want to say a little bit about Jung and the self and all that?
Yeah, so for me, it's like during the editing, this was like a very important point for me. My characters are really strong characters and they are not victims. They also don't feel like victims, actually. And the scene you mentioned is for me like the point where you can see like Hakan has grown and he's not a victim at all. So Hakan is a really intelligent guy and he reads a lot and he knows a lot. And the thing is, what he knows from theory, he sees inside the hotel, inside the resort. He sees it with his own eyes. And so the thing is, it's something very universal. We all have different persona. It's Jung's theory. Like we have all, a lot of persona. We can be like a man, a son, a filmmaker, a minority, like different persona. And Hakan has also a lot of persona. But the thing is, the only persona people see inside the resort is his persona of cheap labor.
Yeah.
They don't care about him. They don't care about what he thinks, what he feels, what he likes. They just have to push them. He has to push the tourists inside the water. That's his main function. And yeah, he's troubled by this. He realized this, and he becomes a bit depressed by this, and he's aware of that. So it's I think it's something really universal. You know, we judge each other based on the job we do, or the skin of our the color of our skin, or the country we come from. And yeah, Hakan is much more than that, and it's really nice to see him like yeah, like talk about it and becoming aware of it, and choose not to be satisfied with the situation. But there's one more thing I would like to say about Hakan and the film. So he I'm really happy that he was a character, and he's also really happy with it, and he feels also better, I think, now after the film has come out, because he feels much more appreciated, I think. There was this review in a Danish newspaper, and the journalist wrote something like, it's really nice to know that someone as Hakan exists and that he could be next to the slides in a resort someplace far away in Turkey. I translated this review, especially the part about Hakan, and he had to smile with it. He was really happy that he felt understood and appreciated because of his ideas, because of how he looks at the world. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention also.
Yeah, that's a really great review to get in. I think it is really great watching him on screen kind of unfold, like kind of blossoming in a way like a flower. And also, but yeah, like you say, by the end of the film, he's so direct and is able to express himself so clearly that even the manager says like, yeah, I'm actually happy that you are. I hope you get, you said something, do you see how confident you've become? And I'm really happy about that. And for me, that character in a way saw himself more like a counselor, like a career counselor than a manager, because he was always talking about transformation and like take a picture of yourself now, and like after this, you know, you're going to change. And he seemed generally also to care about the well-being of Ismail, the well-being of Hakan as well. Did you get that sense from him too? Like, was he?
Yeah, he's Alpert, the human resources manager. He's a real good guy, actually. The thing is, he's a bit ambiguous. I don't know if that's an English word, actually, but yeah, is it cool? Okay, so the thing is, he cares about the staff. He really sincerely cares, and he wants them to become better. But what he understands as making progress in life and becoming better in life is not necessarily objective or right. That's the only thing I felt with Alpert, that he's more talking about progressing in life is for him about making money, about getting having a higher rank professionally. That's the only thing that was that made him a bit more ambiguous. But for the rest, he's a really nice man, and he's really helpful, and he cares. He cares about the staff. Yeah.
Yeah, you really get that sense that the people who you think, I think everybody in the film is not who you initially think, which is one of the great things about the film is that you would make assumptions about who you're watching, and it's really great how every character is not who you initially think they are. You know, like they're not. Like I thought he was going to be this heavy-handed manager guy, and I thought that it was really interesting to see how Khan kind of come into his own, but also like to hear him talk about Dostoevsky and these great like, and how he's trying to talk to the Russian tourists about Dostoevsky, and they just kind of like, who? Like, who are you talking about?
Yeah.
What? And they're like, I just want to be on the slide, you know. They're like, I'm not I'm not here to discuss literature, and that disconnect it's so funny how literally like every conversation they have with the tourists, like nobody understands each other, even like to the end of the film. Like I really love that how there's no kind of progression there. It's like everybody's always misunderstanding each other. And I thought that was a great, also like a little bit of comedy in the film too.
Yeah, that was exactly what I wanted to do. Like, I was like totally. I didn't want to make my characters like victims, and I also totally didn't want to make a socio-economic drama about it, because all those guys who work inside hotel, they really want to work inside that hotel, and they don't feel like victims. So that would be like more a Western point of view to make those guys work like victims or weak. That was totally not what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell a story, to show the world inside the resort totally from their perspective, from their point of view, and they most of them enjoy being there, and most of them also love to make fun, and the comedy is like real, but I also I tried to use it during the editing really well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
There were actually, to be honest, much more comedy scenes, but I didn't want to exaggerate with it, because I think it has to have a function, this comedy, and I tried to use the comical elements as a well balanced contrast thing. You know, I wanted to contrast with their everyday life, and also the contrast between what the tourists are doing and what the staff is doing.
Yeah, you definitely balanced it really well. Also, like that point that you raised is such an important one around victimhood, because we've seen that so many times in films about Africa, like documentaries shot in Africa. There's a sense of like the poor Africans, shame, like they getting exploited by this hotel. They really just trying to make a living, and oh, it's so sad, the mother's gonna die. And and those are realities, but like you say, it takes away some agency from the characters. And even Hakan is like, at the end, he's like, I'm not coming back, screw this place. And then he comes back, but he doesn't come back in the sense of, I'm defeated, I have no other options, my life sucks. But he's like, I'm gonna come back, but I'm gonna use this time here to get somewhere else. And I'm strategically, I'm here for a reason. And I really liked that. So I just want to open it up to some questions. We already have 4 questions from K2, so I think we're going to start going through those. Everyone who's listening, please send your questions in to us. Feel free to write them down in the Q&A section of the Zoom. I think that's how it works. So K2 says, I was curious if you were going to mentor Hakan because of his dream of making a film.
I try to it's his life, I can't push him, but we are like talking often now. So in case you would wonder what Hakan is doing right now, he's in the army. He was too late to subscribe for his philosophy studies. So because he was not studying, he had no subscription to a university, he had to go to the army. So he's now doing his military service. And whenever he has time, we are on the phone, like talking through WhatsApp. And I tried to tell him that it would be really cool if he would start with film school or something like that instead of philosophy, because otherwise he's always, again, as I told you in the beginning, then he's always back on his own. It could be better for him, and he would feel much better if he would work with a few people together on a film. So I really hope he will do that. And yeah, I try to inspire him, and I'm talking about him. So yeah, I really hope he does something. Sometimes I even talk about, like, I bring up subjects like, hey, this could be really cool. Think about it. So let's think about it together. So you never know, never say never, but I would like, I don't want to promise anything, but if I can help him, I would definitely do it, because I strongly believe he's a really smart guy and he's capable of a lot of things. He also knows a lot of films. So in the documentary, he's most of the time talking about literature, but his knowledge about films is so good. It's crazy. He's like, Volkan, okay, let's discuss the three colors of the Kieslowski films. What do you think about red and what? Like, I forgot, but he doesn't forget anything. And he's like, yeah, he's really good. He's really good in analyzing films. So I try to push him on, and I know pushing is a wrong word, but I try to motivate him to do something with his plans and to do something with his love for cinema.
Yeah, I think he would be a great, you know, like a film scholar. Like he'd be a great film academic too. Like I could imagine doing a class with Hakan as the lecturer. It'd be amazing. A follow-up question from K2 was asking, how did you come to name the film All In?
Yeah, the thing is, All In was for me the working title, but I didn't want to change it at the end, because I think like All In is for me like, okay, you can think about gambling, but it has nothing to do with gambling. All In is because it's an all-inclusive resort, and what I like about All In is like they change, those boys, they change totally. Like they start to work there, but they go all in. Like also the staff who starts to work there, they change so hard that they can never go back. Like Ismail just went to help and to make some money to send to his parents, but he went all in. Like he changed completely, and now he can't go back to his village. So that's why I thought like All In is good, because it's not only a job, it's much more for those guys who start to work there. Yeah.
And I was going to ask about Ismail too. What is he up to now? Like, what is his day at the resort?
He has yeah, he has now changed much more actually. If I would like kept on filming him, and if I could show him now, you would be very much surprised. He's now like I don't know, he's all the time on Instagram. He's like almost a Instagram vlogger. He's living in Istanbul. He's working as a hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he changed completely. He doesn't want to go back to his village anymore. So he's now living and working in Istanbul as a hairdresser. And yeah, I think he has changed much more actually. If you would see him, you should like check him out on Instagram and look at his pictures and videos. He has changed a lot now. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna follow him because it was so amazing to see him, like just like 1 year later, like when you know when you do that, but it's like you can see how much older he looks already, and he's like, yeah, you can see his change. He's definitely like matured.
But he's
like,
yeah, but he's still a really nice, sweet, respectful guy. And whenever I will go to Istanbul after Corona stuff, then I will definitely visit him. Yeah, I know his place, so I know where to go if I want to do something about my hair or my beard. Yeah, so I also still talk with him sometimes, but to be honest, I have more like with Hakan, I think we talk like at least once a week, and with Ismail, it's like once or twice a month that I still have contact with him. But I can follow him, of course, on Instagram often. Yeah.
so we have another follow-up question. It's saying, I love to see stories that show us men in other ways. Did you go with this in mind? So I guess the question is around showing alternative sides to men and masculinity that you normally don't see, right, in a documentary. Were you conscious of that choice?
I no, I didn't think about that, but and I also don't care, to be honest. But the only thing that surprised me was when we finished the editing, we were showing the final cuts to a couple of people, and one of them told me, you were talking about the final scene of Hakan and Ismail when they were fishing. One remark was, people could think that there is love between Hakan and Ismail. But for me, I didn't think about that actually. And it's also the way Turkish men are with each other, like they can hold each other. Sometimes Turkish men walk arm in arm or hand in hand, but that has not another connotation. Even if it would have another connotation, it's not a problem. It's 100% okay. But it's just like the Turkish way of people or for men, being with each other, you know. So it for me, that remark was a quite Western remark. It was like Western eyes looking at how men should be with each other. And I was like, no, in Turkey they are like this. They make selfies, they hold each other, it's no problem. So, but it was not something I was aware of or what I was thinking about it. And I also, to be honest, I also don't care too much about what Western viewers could think, because I make this film not for the Western public, but I make it for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's really an interesting point that you bring up, because yeah, I really love the like the tenderness in that scene between the two of them, you know, and I think it's really important, like you're saying, to not consider Western notions of friendship between men, which is like,
that's the thing. For me, it's about friendship. Like friendship, it's really important. That's what I want to say with the final scene, actually.
Yeah, there are also parts of South Africa where it's normal to walk hand in hand with your friend, like with a male friend, and also, yeah, and then obviously there is also like homosexuality, and it's all fine, but between two heterosexual men, should I say, like you see that in like African societies, or in some African cultures, there isn't such a strong binary between genders. Like there's an understanding of like gender is like on a spectrum. So that also resonates with me, in that, you know, like seeing like men, you know, putting their arm around each other, like doing this, like I think it's a very Western notion around like, if we're two like heterosexual men, I can't like just, you know, hug you, like hold you. And that is a very Western notion. That's important. I think that's also what the question was asking, is like, you know, actually trying to undo these ideas around how men should behave, how we're supposed to be in public and things like that. And that's also like something I wanted to, it will segue nicely into one of the last questions I had for you, and then hopefully we're going to get some more questions coming in from the audience. But also I found part of the growth in this film was this disillusionment, and I think there's a disillusionment with Western culture in particular, whereas like even for Hakan, who's, like you say, loves like European art house, he loves like great Western classics, like he loves Dostoevsky. But the thing is, towards the end, he meets all these like people from, you know, Western countries, and he's kind of like, this is not what I expected, you know, from reading Dostoevsky. Like, I think he says something like, I've lost all respect for Russian people, or something like that.
Yeah.
So was that something you were wanting to do, in terms of kind of this conversation between East and West, which from my limited knowledge of Turkey, is like this kind of like this you know, this meeting point of these two cultures, right? It's like both East and West in one country. And was that something that you were consciously trying to show in the film, that, you know, like Ismail says stuff like, it's so great overseas, everybody is so lovely, people are considerate, and everything is just better overseas, even though he's not naming a particular place, he's just saying like foreign countries are better. And I can resonate with that as a South African, because we often think, you know, we grow up, especially like how we grew up during apartheid, like thinking, you know, where the West was like, you know, ultimately like London, like the UK. We grew up speaking colonizer languages, you know, like English, like we're speaking now. And later on, you realize, oh, we've been duped in a way, right? And was that kind of something you really wanted to bring across? Or was that just kind of, did that just kind of come through the characters themselves?
No, that was actually one of the biggest points I wanted to make. It's a very personal film for me. I have Turkish roots. I'm born and raised in Belgium. And for me, the hotel is like a microcosm. You know, it's like the microcosm for our Western world. And I feel like the country I live in, or the part of the world I live in, like Belgium and Europe, sometimes I have the feeling I'm walking around as this 17-year-old boy in this big all-inclusive resort. And I can really relate to Ismail and Hakan, and also to the discussions they have about the hotel and what they see in the hotel. I have like the same things with Europe, or with the West, actually. So that was like one of the biggest points I wanted to make, without victimizing my characters. And I wanted to say something else about the end. Like at the end, there is disillusion, but they are like stronger because of the disillusion. I like to read like books of the French writer Michel Houellebecq, and I can like recognize myself also in his books and in the character of his books. And most of the characters in Michel Houellebecq's books, at the end, they are still doing the same things they were doing in the beginning, and you can see that with both of them. Like Hakan and Ismail are doing the same things they were doing the first time they start to work, but they changed a lot, but they are still doing it. And they do it with some disillusion, but they are like stronger. While they are doing it, they know why they are doing it. They do it like more on an automatic pilot, but they grew like, wow, still doing the same things. They know more about the world. And that's what I want to show also with the end, by letting them do the things they were doing in the beginning. I don't know if it was an answer to your question, or did I miss something, or what do you ask?
No, totally like that. Totally answered the question. So we pretty much run out of time. I just wanted to ask one more question of you, which is, what are you working on at the moment, and where can we follow your progress with further films that are coming out? Are you on social media? Are you on TikTok?
TikTok? No. I'm not on Snapchat, and I'm not on TikTok, unfortunately. But yeah, people can follow me on my Facebook site. You know, my name is Volkan Üce. I don't have a personal website, but I do use Facebook and Instagram, where people can just follow me, Volkan Üce. And I'm now starting with a new documentary about an undertaker. Actually, it's a Turkish undertaker, the first Turkish undertaker in Belgium. More than 80% of people who have like Turkish roots are buried in Turkey. And most of them are now born and raised in Belgium. They hardly know anything about Turkey, but when they die, their bodies go to Turkey. And there's this undertaker who's questioning this, and he wants to change this. And I'm going to make a documentary about this undertaker.
Okay, wow. I'm really looking forward to that one. I can't wait to see it. all the best with the making of this next film. And thank you once again for this beautiful film that you've made, All In, and for sharing with us at Encounters. And hope to see you in Cape Town next time with the Undertaker film. Encounters, if you're listening, look out for it so we can see Volkan in Cape Town. And thanks again very much.
Thank you very much, still.